it is important for our youth to embrace the politics of the countries by actively participating. But besides that, it is also important for people to come up with an education system that inculcates a political identity amongst the youth that is shaped by the political community that they belong to. Whilst we belong on the African continent, the various countries whose borders were made by the colonizers now have certain experiences and communities that have a unique culture built over a period of time. And that culture also shapes the political consciousness of the people. And we must therefore inculcate an identity, a political identity amongst the youth. And these political identities that we need to inculcate amongst our youth should ensure that they have a connection between themselves as individuals and the political community in which they live, so that they also have a connection with the communities in which they are supposed to serve. In doing so, they must ask critical questions of where are we coming from? Where are we? And what do we want our communities and our country to be? By so doing, they will begin to work in their communities from a micro scale until they graduate into a macro scale where they begin now to say, let me now run for a position as a member of parliament, let me run for a position as a councillor, and so on. They need to start from a micro point of view, identifying things that are within their communities and proffering solutions to these things that we have. Sadly, what we have seen amongst many of our youth of this day and age is that theirs is complaining every day. Yes, the current leadership, like any other human being, is not infallible. They make mistakes. Some of them, they are quite huge. As we criticize them, as we seek accountability from them, we should also be able to proffer solutions as youth so that they can use the solutions that you are proffering as a youth to develop and grow the economies in which we find ourselves. But what we have seen is that many of our youth, including those that would want to take up the reins of leadership, they think that you can only become a leader by criticizing the current leader. It is not true that you can become a leader through criticism. The best, a person who wants to be a better leader for tomorrow starts by criticizing and offering solutions to the current leadership, so that when you take over, you build on from where he or she would have left. The criticism that you offer, in fact, you should be working with the current leadership in developing what we would want to see our countries. There is always a partnership. There should always be a partnership between the people that are criticizing and those that are being criticized, because it is through criticism that you can then work hard to improve the systems that are in place. But we haven't been able to see that. Many of our leaders, would-be leaders, and the youth in particular, they believe that it is only through criticizing the current leadership and blaming them for everything that they are doing, without even providing solutions, would see them in leadership. But that has proven to be a little bit difficult and tricky in some of our countries, where through criticizing and mostly using templates that are not theirs, those in leadership have been able to see that this template is not a template of our own. And as a result, we shall not allow our people to listen. And we do not want that to continue. We would want to see a youth that recognizes the worthy and the work that the current leadership is doing and support them so that as they run in their during when their time is up, when they run for leadership, they're able to take up from where they would have left at a level where they would not start from zero.
Echo. That is great. I said echo. This is okay. All right. Now, this is really interesting. Now, I wanted to ask you, what is civil political consciousness and how do we develop it? I think you have touched some area that sort of already explained that part. But I will still ask something related to that, which had to do with the political education, or if you like, the education that is needed to build the political consciousness in the youth. Because in your case, you made mention of people that you learn from. Of course, they didn't break your head and put it in there. You had interest. Then, of course, that was married to the situation plus the people that were there to help you. So, using your personal case study, how do you look at the education that is needed to help the people to understand, develop their political consciousness today? I mean, the youth of today.
I think in order for us to build on the political consciousness of the youth of today, there is need for a deliberate policy that should be put in place, be it at country level or at continental level, where we start to teach our children to understand their identity as Africans. We have an identity that is unique. So we need people to embrace the uniqueness of the African identity, to embrace the uniqueness of the African history and the culture through which they can identify themselves with the demands of the politics in Africa. Some of our children today, they are not aware why we have Black Americans or African Americans. They are not aware of what happened during the slave trade. They are not aware of some of the things that happened on the African continent, where our forefathers were treated like animals. All this need to be told to our people, our youth, so that it can shape who they are, and it can also shape where they want to go. And this should be in the political education that they need to be given. Besides knowing their history, we need political education also touches on the issue of economics. It is important that through political education, we can also tell our people, teach our people, why African economies are what they are today, and why we are struggling to be who we are as Africans on Africa, whilst we have abundant resources. Because it is through the appreciation of what happened in the past that brought our economies to be what they are today. If we look at all the economies that we inherited after independence in most countries, they were meant to serve a very few people. Even the infrastructure that was built was meant to serve a few individuals, be it electricity, roads, water in towns, and so on. And as we expand the numbers that are going into towns, and as we prioritize to make sure that people have electricity, we begin to see the challenges that are coming about as a result of pressure that has been exerted on that which ordinarily was meant for very few people. And this must be told to our people so that it broadens their political consciousness and enable them to come up with the solutions that are tailored to create an economy that serves the interests of the African person.